and who is known for his gentle approach and remarkable patience. I'm talking about the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, His Excellency Ambassador Nicholas Agbo Ella. Please put your hands together for him.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great delight to be here. And let me pay my compliments and tribute to the Executive Governor of Benue State, His Excellency, Reverend Father Dr. Hyacinth Iomen Alia, and his amiable deputy, my friend and brother, Dr. Barrister Sam Ode, the Deputy Governor. May I recognize the members of the State Executive Council present here, my brother, the Commissioner for Power, Renewable Energy and Transport, the Honorable Commissioner for Finance. I was with the Honorable Commissioner for Industry, Trade and Investment the day before yesterday. Let me also pay tribute to the Secretary to the Government, to the State Government. Our Royal Fathers here present, the APC Caretaker Committee Chairman, my friend and brother, Benjamin Omale, and to my host, Sir Alex Adingi, SA on International Investment. I see an array of Royal Fathers here. I salute you all and give you your respective titles and recognition. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, esteemed delegates, captains of the industries, ladies and gentlemen. I stand before you today, not just with pride as a citizen of this, as a native of this richly endowed state, but with deep gratitude for the opportunity to contribute to this all-important conversation about Benue's economic future, specifically within the context of energy and investment. In the 30 years of my diplomatic service, I have related with the various Benue state governments on the need for investment and had, in the course of that, driven investors to this state. This particular investment summit again, we had this opportunity to bring some Chinese investors to look into some areas of investment in this state. Having recently completed my duty tour as Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, I addressed this summit not as an official, or not in my official capacity any longer, but as a patriot and a stakeholder whose journey in public service, energy security and efficiency. Like country like Benue State, we have seen here, sitting down here, how many times the light has gone up and down. It's quite appalling that for how many years since the creation of the state, we are still battling with issue of energy security. Nevertheless, I want to commend the Executive Governor of Benue State, Mr. Governor, who we had an elaborate conversation with on this matter. I commend him and indeed the organizing committee of the Benue International Investment and Energy and Economic Summit 2025 for convening this timely summit. It serves not only as a platform for dialogue, but also as a credible conduit for facilitating long-term investment. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I want to inform you that in June last year, I brought a group of investors to meet with the governor here, and we had elaborate and fruitful deliberation on the need to foreign investors into the state. Today, I can report that we are now walking the talk. This has actually shown that, yes, this is a listening government and is prepared to deliver on its promises. The topic of today's summit, harnessing investment for sustainable economic growth in Benue State, could not have come at a better time than now, when the leadership of the state, led by His Excellency Governor Alia, is poised for the state's industrialization. Today's economic context demands precision, strategic foresight, and data-driven decisions. Nigeria energy sector accounts for over 70% of government revenue and over 90% of export earnings. Yet, this macro statistic reveals the growing importance of subnational participation, especially in gas infrastructure, clean energy solution, and midstream investment. I saw the hashtag our soil, our oil, and I believe that is not only what we are talking about. Our soil, our coal, our soil, our agriculture, our soil, our oil. I thank you for that concept, the hashtag you have made. I think we should all take it up and push it on the narrative about Benue. Because Benue State is uniquely poised to play a defining role in Nigeria's energy transition agenda. Strategically located within the lower Benue Trough, the state lies within a promising gas frontier zone with proven sedimentary basins and commercially viable potential yet to be fully exploited. Indeed, confirmed reports indicate that there are a number of plugged and abandoned oil wells in the state which have not been assigned appropriate acreage. This, again, in my capacity as the permanent secretary in the ministry, I had reached out to the Nigerian Upstream and Petroleum Regulatory Commission to determine the various acreages that we have in the state. There's one particular one in Opialu. There are those ones in Nagatu and other places that we really need to sit down as a state to talk about their exploration. The chairman of the National Gas Expansion Program in my ministry, who spoke to us earlier, Professor Mohammed Ibrahim, had worked closely with me, and he was promoting the coal gas methane in Benue State. I'm sad to report that he lost his job shortly after I left because that was the basis that the authorities used to ask him to leave, that he couldn't be promoting coal gas methane while he was in the petroleum industry. But the argument is that whether you like it through petroleum, you get coal, or you get gas through petroleum processes, or you get it through coal, they were all are looking for the same natural gas. So on behalf of the state, in my personal capacity, I want to apologize for what has happened, and the Lord will give you a new beginning. I will certainly not go towards the issue of the coal gas methane because he has elaborately given us literature on that. But suffice to say that with the abundant coal resources that we have in the state, it is a venture worth going into and paying more attention by the state government. Part of the reason we brought the Chinese here was that they should come and look into the coal reserve. They were in Ubokolo yesterday to take some samples and Oupa. Again, let's see how we move this process forward. It is for our own benefit and our own energy security as a state. I believe that we take leave from the Petroleum Industry Act and see how we can liberalize gas, midstream, and downstream operation in the states. We can create new entry points for states and private sector involvement. And I'm glad that some of our states, indigenous of the state, have taken very giant steps in terms of gas production, in terms of our engagement in the oil and gas sector. So we should leverage on our nationals, our citizens who are doing great in this sector. In practical terms, Benue can immediately explore opportunities in small-scale compressed natural gas, CNG, infrastructure, auto gas refueling station, LPG bottling plants, and captive gas fire power generation. These scalable projects have shown over 30% return on investment. And I think that is why Highland is here, looking at the opportunities. We had invited Fortula, one of the companies there also that has been involved in LNG and CNG penetration in the ministry. So they are all here. Look at them, engage with them, and let's take the advantage we have to develop this state. I won't bore you with statistics, but nevertheless, recent industry data shows that Nigeria loses over 1.5 billion annually to flare gas and underutilized reserves. Redirecting just 10% of this volume through localized processing and distribution infrastructure in states like Benue could create up to 20,000 direct and indirect jobs for our teeming population. Furthermore, Benue's rising urbanization and agricultural base create a natural market for industrial-scale energy use, including cold chain logistics, food processing, and agri-based manufacturing powered by gas. This means the investment risk is lower and the market response time is faster. However, the enabling environment must also evolve. Strategic land allocation, streamlined permitting processes, fiscal harmonization between states and federal regulation, which the director from the Federal Ministry of Solid Mineral has highlighted, are necessary. An investors in protection framework will be vital to signal that Benue is not just investment ready, but investment smart. I also want to use this opportunity to urge the state government to engage with relevant institutions such as the Midstream and Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund, MDGIF, the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, and even international climate finance platforms that are seeking viable gas-to-power and clean energy projects in sub-Saharan Africa. In July 2024, the African Petroleum Producers Organization, for which Nigeria is a member, gave Nigeria the hosting right of the Africa Energy Bank. I want to say it with pride and dignity that I contributed immensely to the success of the bank. But it's important that as we talk about energy financing, that we should also look at that basis. That projects that we identify in this summit can be brought to the African Energy Bank for financing. That is the important underlining statement that I want to convey to this summit. Of course, hosting the African Energy Bank headquarters in Abuja solidifies Nigeria's status as a central player in Africa's energy sector. It enhances Nigeria's attractiveness as a destination for energy investment and provides the country with an opportunity to influence energy policies at a continental level. Therefore, Benue can seize the opportunity the Energy Bank provides to finance its energy infrastructure like pipelines and other distribution network. Another strategic lever is capacity building. Of course, it has been talked about here. Benue must invest in developing a gas economy talent pool of technicians, welders, process engineers, safety officers, marketers, and logistic professionals who drive the industry from within. A single gas hub in Benue can serve as an anchor for vocational training and industrial clustering. Equally important is the diaspora capital that remains largely untapped. Our sons and daughters abroad, to whom I had related with in various capitals, many of whom are energy, finance, and ICT professionals, should be part of this vision. The state must build a platform to aggregate diaspora expertise and investment into special purpose vehicles tailored for Benue's energy priorities. As someone who has served at the intersection of national policy, global energy diplomacy, and institutional reform, I know that political will, interagency collaboration, and investor trust are the rare currencies of growth. Benue must now consolidate these currencies into bankable opportunities. Permit me also to state clearly that as a retired permanent secretary, I fully respect the ongoing work and vision of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources under its current leadership. My remarks today are offered in goodwill as insight from experience, not as substitute for current policy directions. In my journey, I have seen how a single state initiative, if properly structured, can draw in syndicated capital, lift an entire region out of poverty, like China did, and position a subnational as a player in global markets. Let Benue be that model. Let this summit be the turning point. We must think boldly, but act responsibly. The energy transition is not just about switching fuels, but about redefining value chains, economic system, and public-private alignment. It is about connecting opportunities with vision, and vision with capital. And as I assure you that even in my retirement, I remain a servant of progress. And I'm open to offering advisory support, mentorship, and global network to assist Benue in unlocking its energy ambition. The call to serve does not end with tenure. It endures through legacy. Let me once again commend the leadership of the state, the Benue Investment Promotion Agency, and all international and domestic partners participating in this summit. The road ahead is long, but the destination is clear: a prosperous, resilient, energy-smart Benue. Thank you all for your attention. God bless you. God bless Benue State. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You are already doing something that I think is the right thing to do. The SA on international investment stood up, the people behind him stood up, and I thought the rest of us would just queue in and give His Excellency Ambassador Ella a resounding hand of applause. But he also said something while he was making his presentation, and I think it's good that we should celebrate our heroes while they are with us, not just the labors of heroes past. And so when he mentioned that Professor Muhammad M. Ibrahim, MNI, sort of lost his job for pushing the coal bed methane project, which is of great benefit to Benue, I thought it was the right moment to also appreciate Professor Ibrahim. Let us keep clapping. Let us keep clapping. Let us keep clapping, sir. This summit stands with you. The people of Benue State stands with you. And Ambassador Ella invites you to join him on stage as we continue to clap. This is one way that we can encourage sacrifice, we can encourage hard work and dedication. I have not said you should stop clapping, you know. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You are very kind people, and we will also celebrate you in your own time. Prof, we are grateful. May I now invite the Honorable Special Advisor to the Governor on International Investment to step forward and present the plaque of recognition to our presenter.
On behalf of the government of Benue State, I present this to Ambassador Nicholas Agbo-Ella, former Permanent Secretary, Minister of Petroleum, our friend, our brother, our son. In appreciation of your outstanding contribution at the Benue International Investment and Economic Summit 2025. Thank you for being a valued part of this milestone event. This is presented to you this day on the 9th May 2025 by the government of Benue State. Thank you, sir.
The summit team will join in a group photograph. The summit team, please join in this group photograph. Thank you very much. And now to do a follow-up on the presentation from Professor Muhammad Ibrahim, there is another man who was also on the team that came to Benue on the mission of a national gas expansion program last year. We'll give him a moment to also speak to us very quickly. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Christian Onyebueke as he speaks to us on Greenville's gas investment roadmap for Benue State. Please put your hands together for him as he comes.
Thank you and good afternoon. Good people of Benue State. I will stand on already existing protocol and I'll be quick. I'll just go straight to the point. So we did not prepare a presentation for this session, but I will just have you take a look at the screen. And talking about investment and Benue State, we've been on this journey, okay? So I'm going to tell a story. We are trying to retell the story and change the landscape from the energy perspective. So for over 10 years, for almost 15 years, we've been pioneering the energy landscape in terms of investment and gas utilization. I'm very happy to announce to you that we attracted foreign direct investment of over $500 million US, with which we built the 3 LNG trains, like you see on the screen, mini LNG trains with capacity of over 2,250 tons of LNG. That's daily production capacity. And we further made investments in a distribution fleet of LNG cryogenic tanker trucks of almost 600, about 565 units. This is aside the initial $500 million. For the energy players in the hall today, you know how difficult it is to raise funds to do these projects. Even state governments, the federal government, the operators, nobody finds it easy. Okay, so that is a huge step taken by Greenville LNG. We have provided jobs, thousands of jobs for Nigerians, and we have impacted the market for natural gas, the domestic market for natural gas. We have deepened gas utilization in Nigeria. I know you all agree with me. We took the bold step to be the first to open up domestic liquefaction. Of course, we have the Nigeria LNG project, which is basically for export. But as a domestic downstream player, we were the first to we broke the ice. That is, we took the bold step to take that initial risk, begin to stimulate the market, and of course, we developed the market as a result. Let me also announce to you that we are still the only company that brings natural gas to northern Nigeria. And we know that in a few years' time, this will change because there are a number of people now beginning to develop, LNG projects. We have a very prominent person in that space here. I will always recognize my senior colleague in the industry, Oga Adejo Ogiri, who has also, been a great contributor to gas distribution in this part of the world. There are a lot of things we've done. For want of time, I'm not going to exhaust all of it. You can take a look at our website and you'll see much more. That's our facility in Rumuji, Rivers State, where we liquefy over 110 million scf of gas in daily capacity. So, how does this trickle down to benefit Benue State? I will go straight to the point. We are working on developing a roadmap. It is still work in progress. That is why I said I'm trying to retell this story. It's a journey. Investment in energy, investment in Benue State is a journey that we have started. And I must also acknowledge the contributions and the hard work of the National Gas Expansion Program. Please, let's put our hands together for Professor M.M. Ibrahim again. So we cannot overemphasize the contribution and the labor of this man towards transformation of Benue State. So, I will just go ahead to tell you some of the things we are doing, some of the things we will be doing in the next couple of months. We could have been faster than this, but of course we had to take our time to do a survey, to do a research of the Benue State market for gas. It was an independent, of course, you know that these surveys and this research would take some time. So that is why we are still where we are. But we hope that at the end of this event, we'll be able to begin to cement the relationship. There's an MOU signing we will have to do to begin to put us into the next stage of the series of investments and contributions of our Greenville LNG for Benue State. So primarily, we are looking at gas utilization in Benue State as it touches gas to power, and of course, seeing the linkage effect, how power influences industry. We're also looking at gas to transportation. And these are two direct approaches we are taking where, of course, you will begin to see the outcomes before the end of this year. We are very keen to work with this administration, but like you know, we are private sector players, and so we try to minimize our, of course we work with governments. We have similar MOUs with several states like Nasarawa, Enugu, and of course you see our presence in those states, but then we are trying to, work with the evolving landscape, the legislative landscape for energy, for the energy markets in Benue, as well as the gas to transportation initiative of the federal government. And as such, we have decided to go the unconventional way in Benue. We will invest through the indigenes. So I'm going to be announcing, in fact I am now announcing, that for people who already own filling stations in places like Makurdi, in Boko, perhaps Otukpo, major centers, major cities in Benue State, who are willing to enter the CNG play, okay, we can facilitate that. We can, so we have a scheme now, the technology we are deploying, where we can fit your facilities with dispensing units for CNG, and we bring in small-scale cascades, So there's a bit of investment you also have to make, because we want you to take ownership of it. And at the same time, because we've seen that that's going to help, it's going to speeden up the spread, okay, of CNG utilization. So, but there's a side to the value chain, which is the conversion. So we are looking at a scheme. We had a little discussion with Zenith Bank the other day, and I'm happy to say that we are partnering with Zenith Bank to also see how we can make funding available for people who are already in the energy business, because you don't go into a trade you do not know. You're going to lose money, and of course you make us lose money too. So, but we want to partner with you, who is an indigene or a businessman in Benue State, and you want to go into the energy space. And of course, our first bus stop is going to be Benue Links. We are beginning to have that conversation with the management of Benue Links to put a storage and dispensing facility in their premises. So, and after Benue Links, many more will follow. So there's a simple step to this, because a lot of us will be asking how? So we would expect that you write to us an expression of interest for whoever wants to participate. Can I have water, please? Thank you. Did you say time? Can you help me? I'll be fast. So this is serve as catalysts to bring CNG utilization in the state. Also, we will be partnering the GENCOs. I understand the state is coming up with legislation for its electricity market. Like we've done in other states, we'll make natural gas available. We'll also try to enrich the mix, because we see that the coal bed methane is going to come on soon. It doesn't look too distant if we give it the right push, the right consistency. And so we're going to be working in the logistics part of it. Like I earlier mentioned, we've invested in a robust fleet of almost 600 LNG cryogenic mobile tanks. And this equipment can carry as much as 1 million scops of natural gas per trip of capacity. So we'll be willing to lend our logistic capabilities to Benue State at any point in time when the coal bed methane project begins to happen. And in the interim, we'll be supporting projects in power generation with the power generation companies, the licensees, to whatever volumes or whatever quantities of gas you would need. Seeing that a normal natural gas pipeline is quite a distance from here, we'll be very glad to make LNG available. And so there will be several levels of engagements to that effect. So the ball is in your court, Benue State. Make the enabling environment by putting the legislations in place. Let the GENCOs begin to come in, and that will further trigger industrial activities and further deepen gas utilization in the country. And of course, before I forget, there'll be more job creation, and that is how the economy will keep opening up. Thank you. I've been signaled, and I have to respect the moderators here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for using your time well, sir. For the next insight, still on LNG, I'd like to invite the Chief Executive Officer of Highland LNG. Please help me welcome Mr. Oga Adejo-Ogiri.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start by recognizing members of the state executive here present. I see commissioners of finance and commissioners of transport and power, the SA Investments and the chief host of this summit, the former Permanent Secretary Petroleum. I think I also see one of our distinguished elders. I think that is Mr. Jimmy. And permission, the APC caretaker chairman, and permission to stand on the protocol that has been earlier established. My name is Oga Adejo-Ogiri, a son of the soil, so it's good to be back home. And again, let me use the opportunity to also thank the organizers for this very special summit, but also for dedicating a day to energy. The theme of this day is powering our Benue future. And this is very, very, most times people organize summits, they forget about this important aspect, which is energy. If you do a simple correlation, the top 10 economies in the world are also the top energy consuming nations in the world. The US, China, Japan, Germany, South Korea, the UK, they're all top energy consumers. So there's a simple correlation. For us to drive economic development in Benue, we must make energy available, right? And it is therefore very important that, I'm glad to see that such a day has come. It's also good to see all the strides being made around the coal bed methane opportunity. And before I go into saying what Highland LNG is doing and how it impacts Benue, just to say that it is good to see that there's some work done, and on our part, we would liaise with the technical committee, right, to see how we can leverage that resource and also make it more available for the benefits of Benue people and to drive economic growth. But today I wanted to share what we are doing at Highland LNG. Highland LNG, which I run, it's a special project vehicle that was set up to bridge the gas infrastructure gap in Nigeria. As most of us know, mostly the traditional way to get gas to our industries, to commercial users, is through pipelines. The pipelines we have today in the country are mainly in the southern part of the country, and we are only just now building what we call the AKK, the Ajaokuta, Kaduna, there's no pipeline footprint. So what Highland LNG is doing is to do what we call a mini LNG plant, Ajaokuta, Kogi State, less than 200 kilometers from here, so that we can truck the LNG, liquefy the gas and put it on trucks and take it to end users. The last speaker, my very good friend, who works for, I won't call it competitor, the market is too big for us, I call it my co-petitor. We are collaborating in this industry, and I want to thank Greenville. They already have proven this concept. They have proven that this concept works. If you drive from Abuja to Lokoja, you will meet at the minimum 30 Greenville trucks. If you're driving, not much traffic on the Otukpo Makurdi Road, but there's a lot of traffic on the Abuja. So they have proven the market. And what we are trying to do is to liquefy that and also, provide diversity so that we have options. It's not good for a monopoly. So Greenville, we are coming to support what you've started, right? And to create options for users. So what that will do is it makes gas available for industrial and commercial users who are in stranded markets like Benue, right? So our industries can be revived. When I go to the industrial hub, we have an industrial thing in Naka Road, that becomes a place that can be revived because there's energy. We can bring trucks, we can do gas to power, and then industries can be attracted. If we are thinking of an agro-processing zone, for example, in Benue, we can use LNG to power that, right? And most importantly, the government of the current government is now driving the gas as a preferred transportation fuel, right? Gas either as CNG or as LNG. So what this does is that we can now gas can now become available in our gas stations so that we can start converting our cars to drive on gas, and because it is also a lot cheaper, allowing citizens have reduced pocket expenses on fuel and channeling that resources elsewhere. And finally, to say, in 2023, we passed the Electricity Act, which allows subnational states like Benue to now participate in generation, transmission, and distribution. Gas is still one of the cheapest and shorter time to market for generation. So that will allow states like Benue to go into gas generation. We're making gas available. We're making gas available, and this is a key ingredient to ensuring that we can, drive the industrialization of the state. And to also say that we have also identified Makurdi as one of the locations that we would site an LCNG station. So they say charity begins from home. In my board meeting, I made it very clear that in as much as economics is key, I will not also sign up to go into other states without ensuring that my state benefits from this project. So just to say, and I hope that we will work out the details, and we will create opportunity for partnerships with the state government, if possible, because I see that there's, the state government would also like to partner with people like us as we enable energy supply and energy access to the state. So in summary, just to say, Highland is a project that did a groundbreaking early this year. We're looking to start commercial operations by Q4 of 2026. It's a 10 million SCOF pilot one for the first phase. We hope to increase as we determine the demand, and we're looking to site one of our LNG stations to make LNG available to the state here in Makurdi as part of our infrastructure roadmap. And finally, to say that as we see the coal bed methane opportunity unveil, we may look at the opportunities of also putting a mother station, a CNG mother station, so as to also, bring that gas, because the methane has to be harnessed. And if therefore we see that opportunity, once the studies are done and we can see the quality of the methane and the volumes that will come out, then we are also willing to also put additional investments in the state to ensure that the gas molecules are also made available for the industrialization of the state. So once again, just to thank the organizers of this summit and to say that Highland LNG is willing to collaborate with the government as we ensure the state government gets all these energy requirements to drive economic development for the state. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, before I call on the next person who will be giving us insights on the laws governing power, transport, and renewable energy in Benue State. I'd like to recognize in our presence a respected leader, elder statesman, an accomplished individual who is. Thank you very much for coming. Your presence here today indeed adds value to this event. Thank you. And now we would invite for insights on the laws governing power, renewable energy, and transport in Benue State, the Honorable Commissioner for Transport, Renewable Energy, and Transport, the person of Honorable Barrister Omale Omale. Please put your hands together for him.
His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Benue State, colleagues at the Benue State Executive Council, top government appointees that are here in section, our own very big Oga, the immediate past permanent secretary of the Ministry of Petroleum, His Excellency Right Honorable Emmanuel Jime, and of course, our own chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Chief Dr. Benjamin Omale. Let me say a very big good afternoon to all of us. Today again presents to us another moment and opportunity to showcase the position of the Benue State government in the energy sector. Recall that the government of President Tinubu swiftly upon assumption of office, signed into law, they all talked about Electricity Law 2023, following the alteration of the Constitution of Nigeria, where power was taken out of the exclusive legislative list and now host and domiciled in the concurrent legislative list. By the enactment of the Electricity Act 2023, it seeks to unbundle the power sector in Nigeria, allowing for subnationals through their State House of Assembly to make law for power generation, transmission, and distribution. This was in line with Mr. Pato making power available and accessible to all and sundry. And catching into this new frontier, the governor of Benue State, His Excellency Reverend Dr. Hyacinth Amalia, for the very first time, like every other head of subnational, established the Ministry of Power, Renewable Energy. I'm privileged to be a pioneer commissioner with a mandate to explore the new position that the Electricity Act provides for subnational and Benue State in particular. Upon assumption of office, the governor of Benue State, Hyacinth Amalia, rolled out its thematic section for intervention, and central to it is a driving force, identifying power as a catalyst for socio-economic transformation, be it in the area of agriculture, that of industrial spin for Benue State, all is central and driven by power and energy. It is with this understanding that our ministry have the mandate to coordinate and regulate power-related activities in Benue State with a view, ultimately, to bridging the energy gap that exists hitherto before the administration of Hyacinth Amalia. As a ministry, it became then our concern and prerogative to set the basic and foundational requirement to satisfying this mandate. Our starting point as a ministry, therefore, was to set up a very clear-cut power policy for the Benue State government, and then to follow it up with the right legislative framework that the dole will regulate power and energy space in Benue State. Quickly, as we speak now, the energy policy for the Benue State government is very clear, centered on an effort to bridge in energy gap, creating an energy market where power will be made available for all strategic sectors for Benue State, taking it beyond domestic use to industrial and commercial use as a BEM to spin socio-economic activities within Benue State. To doing this, our energy policy in articulation emphasized that in Benue State, power is no longer a utility service or item, move from utility to become a commodity item for sale with value that will cause the right traction for investors and will also cost the right benefit and value for money for consumers or end users. In that connect, we seek to ultimately create an energy market for Benue State that will create the right traction for investors, knowing very well that as they look the way of Benue State as a safe haven for energy investment, the market is ripe, the market is huge, and the attitude and disposition of the Benue State people is now retweaked to appreciate power and energy as a commodity, and they have expressed their willingness to also buy and utilize them as a commodity item. In that space, our Benue State energy policy, having put energy as a commodity, clearly put a model in the investment corridor as that one that will be driven by investment and consumers' interaction. Our energy market is not largely going to be dependent on subsidy except for where it becomes absolutely necessary. The energy market model for Benue State, as distinct from other climes, is to create a convergence point between producers of energy, investors in the energy space, developers in the energy space, and the consumer, or ultimately the end users, where the market force will drive the price, satisfying or guaranteeing investment for the investors and guaranteeing availability in a very sustainable, reliable manner for the end users. Having set out this policy thrust for the Benue State government, it became then necessary for us to explore the provisions in the Electricity Act 2023 that permit for states through your House of Assembly to make laws to regulate or to establish energy markets and then to regulate energy-related activities within the state. For us in the ministry, we work closely with Technical and Advisory Committee on the Power Sector for Benue State, and working closely with the Desk Officer for Energy and Power in the ministry, at the Nigerian Governors Forum. We leverage on the pro format of electricity law for subnational, and we had several stakeholder engagement to have their buy-in that ultimately culminates into a draft electricity law for Benue State. I'm pleased to inform us today that the draft electricity law for Benue State has enjoyed buy-in from stakeholders, be them in the transmission and distribution industry, and more particularly from the consumers in Benue State. It also has an input from the Benue State Faculty of Law of the Benue State University and the Federal University in Benue State, now J.S. Tucker University, the Faculty of Mechanical and Engineering Services, all making their input. That draft bill has also enjoyed vetting by the Ministry of Justice, and as we speak, enjoyed the approval of the Benue State Executive Council. And presently, it is lying at the Benue State House of Assembly for consideration and eventual passage. It is our contemplations in this draft bill